Hey guys, Randy Elgin here, SA Realty Watch Group. I'm sitting here with my friend and my preferred inspector, Greg Kreusel. And Greg, I was doing some research today. I've known you since March of 2006.
That makes me pretty old.
That makes me pretty old too. I got a hold of you through one of the agents that I was working with at the time, John, that you did an inspection for him, and he said, man, you need to use this guy. I'm like, well, why? He's very detailed. So, which I like. And so you've been on my list ever since then. So how long have you been in the business?
I got licensed in 2002.
2002, okay. So I came into the business as a real estate professional end of 2004. So you met you in 2006, early 2006, so very good. So where did you find, when you first got into the business, so do you have to be an apprentice to somebody else before you can actually go out on your own and do all the inspections?
It's changed through time, but at that time you were able to do classwork and take testing. As long as you could pass the test,
okay,
and you had a certain curriculum of hours, you could do that.
Okay, so you took the test, you passed it obviously, and you had curriculum. So did you immediately start off on your own, or did you go out with another inspector to kind of learn the ropes, I guess?
I actually went out with someone before I had gotten my license on a couple things just to see if I was suited for it.
Yeah.
With a past construction background in areas. And so he helped me as far as answering questions, went on a few jobs with him to get a heads up of what the job was about. And so it seemed like it was a good fit for me.
Right.
And so then I started the coursework.
Okay.
And took the test. It's a pretty high failure rate, but I managed to pass it somehow. But
okay.
Which is a story in itself.
Yeah.
I read the whole IRC, which is not easy reading.
IRC is?
The International Residential Code. Sorry. It's a thick book of all the codes throughout the nation. So it's...
Are they going to make that into a movie sometime?
I hope not.
So where did you get your first client? You don't have to give names, but hey, I'm Greg, I'm ready to do an inspection on you. Did you go out? I mean, how did you find your first client?
A friend of mine had a realtor that she was using at the time. In helping her with it, the realtor then used me on one. Actually, and then until she moved out of the country.
Oh, okay.
So we established a relationship. So that was the first one.
The first one.
Yeah, that's always your scary one.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, there's lots of scary ones.
Oh, sure. Now, where do you get most of your clients from now? Is there? Because a lot of people, they'll go out and they'll network, and they will have certain business partners they deal with, or they'll have friends and family and sphere. Where do you think your number one place is to find business?
Referrals.
Referrals from
prior clients.
From prior
and
clients. And well, yeah. I wish I could send you more. Okay. So, and you said you had a background in construction.
I've done a lot of different things.
Okay.
Not any large detail of actually with construction companies, but I've done roofing, different types of concrete work.
Okay.
Dabbled in some electrical and things, so kind of a wide spectrum.
Okay. All right. Very good. So, I was going through some files today.
Uh-oh.
And we're not going to show address. There's a lot of things that change about people, and you all can attest to that, but this is Greg's card. Doesn't have his face on it, but the number hasn't changed. This card was given to me in 2008. And what I'm looking at here, guys, is a drawing that he did. It's not of a sunset or anything like that. It's actually of a house that I ended up selling, and he came in and you did floor elevations, letting me and the sellers know, what's the situation with this. Now, this particular house, and I'm not going to show the name of the company, but they did the same thing, and they gave a warranty to my clients, and stabilization companies that put piers underneath the house, if they put 20 piers in, they're going to warrant those piers, right? Where they've stabilized the house. If the other part of the house starts to fall or rise, they don't have anything control over that. So this particular house that you did the inspection on was kind of interesting in the fact that when I met my clients, I could actually take my finger and put it into the wall of the master bedroom. And so they had been calling this company going, hey, you need to come out here and check this thing because, it's really off. And so I got involved. They called me, and I contacted the company and said, don't you have a warranty on this? And they're like, well, yeah. And I go, well, then you need to come out and re-look at the elevations, because I can put my finger inside the wall where you supposedly fixed and installed piers. And they gave me a whole bunch of garbage. And finally, after talking to my clients, I called them back and said, look, you're either going to come out here and assess this again and show us for a fact that there's no issue, or my clients are going to contact the media and or start litigation against you. And he goes, are you threatening me? I was like, no, I'm just a messenger. I'm letting you know what's going to happen. So the next day they came out and they actually fixed it and brought the wall back. And we were able to get the house sold. But we've done inspections on houses where it's like, oh, there's no problem with this. And I'm like, yeah, there's a problem with this house. And you come out and look at it, and it was a brand new build. It was actually poured on a slope. And, a lot of people will take golf balls or marbles or something, and they'll put it on the floor, and, oh, it's rolling, so we have a problem with foundation. But that's not the case. You actually use is it Zip Level?
Zip Level's a brand kind of like Xerox.
It's a brand?
They're digital water levels.
Water level, okay. And this is the same thing that surveyors use, or foundation companies use, engineers use, the same thing. Is that correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So we got in a conversation the other day, you and I, and we were talking about a couple of my clients. Because when I can't just refer one person, I would just love to refer you, but if they don't like that, then we have lawsuits that go on.
Exactly. So
I refer 3 inspectors that I've worked with in the past, respect them all, love you the most. I'm just kidding. And so we were talking about the clients that you didn't get.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately it came down to price. And being in the business for 15 years, now starting my 16th year, I've seen a lot of inspections. And this is how I explain who my clients need as an inspector. So y'all take note. So if I have a seller, now let me start with a buyer. If I have a buyer, I want them to find an inspector who is spot on, that points out everything, shows them what's going on with the house, tells them what potentially is a deal killer, okay, and lets the buyer make the decision as to whether they still want to buy that house, okay? For a seller, because you're representing them, you're being the eyes and the ears of what you know, your experience, and what they may not know, and point out this is a major issue, or this is a problem, but it's fixable. it shouldn't kill the deal unless it just scares you. Okay, and the buyer has that decision. For the seller, on the other hand, I want Mr. Magoo to come out and look at their house for the buyers, not because we're hiding anything, but because there are inspectors out there that will kill the deal all the time. I've killed deals too. I've walked into houses with people and go, you're not going to buy this house, because the buyers aren't interested in fixing something up. They go, oh, I'll do a project. I'm like, okay, great. Will you do paint? Yes. Will you decorate? Yes. Will you, fix the outside landscaping? Yes. Right. What about holes in the wall? Well, I can patch a hole. Okay. What if you're having more fun walking through the house than you are on a roller coaster at Fiesta, Texas? No, I don't want to fix that. So I've killed deals. So when it comes down to selecting an inspector, relationship, you've already mentioned that, is very important. It comes down to what you're going to do for them. Okay, and you do a lot. You're very detail oriented, and you give a great report. It's not basic, it's specific to the house. You and I were talking, you said something about you saw an inspection that a friend of yours had done. Mm-hmm. They didn't do the inspection, somebody else did the inspection, but they showed it to you.
Right.
And you went out to the house and looked at it, and it's like, you read the report, you looked at it, it was like, this report really it's very generic. It was saying this is what the house should have, but it didn't say this particular wall has a problem, or this particular light switch is not working, or the window is that correct? It was just too generic?
It was basically what I consider a drive-by.
A drive-by, okay.
I walked it with my friend. Basically, the main problem that he knew and what his concern was a water heater that was leaking.
Okay.
They had just closed on the home, and this was a situation where his son called me and didn't want to take off work. His realtor was pushing him to a different direction using a different inspector.
Okay.
And I told him, look, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And for me to do this, to protect you,
right,
you need to be there at some point of the inspection. Let me go over it. And
right.
I did have a personal interest with his dad, of course.
Yeah.
And so that didn't work out. His realtor was already pushing for a different inspection company that she had used, and so was familiar with it. And you made a comment earlier about certain inspections. If it's a seller, then you want possibly a lesser report on it. We could talk about that for quite a while. But,
we won't. We don't have time.
But anyway, so I just, with the water heater was leaking, the only thing this company listed on the report was missing a vacuum breaker, which really wasn't required at the time.
Right.
That was the only comment, not leakage, not rust, not drain pan, on and on. So I just told him, here's 12 deficiencies or so on this, and you only have one that really wasn't important. And as we walked the home, the roof, different things, basically hardly anything was listed.
Yeah.
So that in the market is what I compete against.
And it really is sad. And we're going to have great people in every industry, and we're going to have people that are just skirting by.
Of course.
Okay, so our job is to represent and be the fiduciary for our clients and tell them point blank, this is what the case is. I've gone into houses that I was going to list before and pointed out things, are you going to fix that? Yes. Are you you need to disclose that on the seller's disclosure notice? And they go, no, I don't. If I fix it, I don't have to disclose it. I'm like, well, as soon as the inspector gets up in the attic and sees all of this water stains, there's going to be a question. So you might as well disclose it. I didn't get hired. And I looked at the seller's disclosure notice, and it was very basic. They used a very basic one. They ended up selling the house. I don't know who bought it, and I don't know what the outcome was. But I wouldn't take the listing.
Well, a lot of times I walk in a home and there's the seller's disclosure.
Yeah.
I'll glance through it, but it has no weight for me.
Right.
Either people just don't know. They live in the home and they don't know these
And
things.
that's
They're not
perfectly-
inspectors, they're
Yeah.
not realtors and so forth. So they could honestly fill it out and there's errors within
Yeah.
it. Some people cover things up. We're in a market where there's a lot of the flip homes.
Yeah.
Those are definitely a problem of
Yeah.
cover up. Guys need to make a profit, so let's do as little as possible. Cover things up. That makes my job harder because I've got to look and I know that it's there. So
I remember I had a client who was an investor, and his comment was, "Nothing scares me." I'm like, okay. So
good for him.
Yeah, good for him. In walks Greg.
Uh-oh.
So you were doing an inspection for another one of my clients on the same house that this other investor wanted. And so I brought him out there. We walked through the house, and your comment to me was, "This is going to be a novel. I don't have enough time to write up this report."
I do a lot of those these days.
Yeah. And so after taking my client through the house, he looked at it, and he's standing in front, and he goes, "This scares me." He didn't buy that house. So what are 3 takeaways that buyers and actually sellers also need to understand about inspections, and why it's critical to get somebody who is very detail oriented and pointing out the things that could or could not go wrong? What are 3 things that a quality inspector demonstrates that the viewers can take away?
First off, foundations. And I know many good inspectors. I know many bad inspectors.
Yeah.
I see many bad reports. More bad reports than I ever see that are good reports.
Mm-hmm.
But in the foundation portion of it, I don't see other inspectors, and being a member of inspector organizations since day one, I've belonged to organizations for training. Inspectors will not do the level check on a home. My philosophy is I do it, it's extra information, because that's the one area of a report that is an opinion. Most everything else is black and white.
It's not an opinion.
That's not an opinion. We have to follow, or we are supposed to follow, what's called the standards of practice.
Okay.
Texas Real Estate Commission gives us this list that's just tons of things that we are to check.
Right.
Either you follow it or you don't.
Okay.
Many don't. I choose to do it because I have to answer to my clients.
Yeah.
Now, the digital level check that I do is not a requirement. It's something I choose to do that other people don't do, that I see. In that gives me information of slope. I do a lot of what I consider bad foundations. I'm not there as a structural engineer, and my report says that that's not done to intend or pretend to be a structural engineer on it. It's just a measurement device that gives me information on it. And then it goes to many areas of a report. We are a generalist that walks into the home, and then it requires a specialist, basically just like you went to a doctor.
Right.
On it. So the foundation is something that in San Antonio, there's a lot of bad foundations on it, because we have fluctuating moisture. Sometimes we don't have for years and years moisture at all.
Yeah.
So there's many conditions that change a foundation on it. Beyond that, roofs are a big issue because roofers do not install roofs correctly.
Right.
I never see a roof that's installed correctly. And when
Brand new houses aren't correct?
No. And when you tell a client that's buying a new home that the roof needs to be stripped, that's,
They get pretty upset.
yeah, yeah. So that leads to problems.
Yeah.
Especially 2 weeks ago, I did one that had solar panels on top of a brand new home.
Okay.
And when you have to then, you say the roof needs to be stripped, well, that means removing solar panels.
Wow.
Brand new, stripping the roof, then reinstalling solar panels the correct way on top of it. Builders are not happy with that information.
I would assume they would not. And you and I have been to brand new houses, and actually getting the actual material supplier out there to look at how it's being installed on the windows. Because I remember talking to my client and going, "Hey, we need to stop putting the brick on the house because we need to get the supplier out there to take a look at it." So I called the builder and said, "Hey, don't do anything more to the outside of the house. We're going to have an inspection by the manufacturer over there tomorrow at 3:00." And so she ended up calling my client and saying, "Hey, Randy just said to stop building on the house." And he goes, "Yeah, right." And he goes, "Well, we can't do that." And he goes, "Yeah, if Randy said to stop building, you stop building. We're going to have an inspection." And they came out there, you were out there,
Mm-hmm.
looking at everything, and it came down to this ceiling tape that needed to be rolled on properly, and it wasn't. So, good job, Greg.
That was a situation though where the manufacturer, the representative, he buckled on it though, and
Yeah.
he said, "Well, it's okay." Well,
Yeah.
it didn't follow the guidelines,
Right.
and it was not correct. But yet, in that situation, they want to sell product
Yeah.
on it. Hardy plank siding is another one that has allowed certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So I am accountable though to follow manufacturer guidelines of installation. Then when they say, "Oh, well, we'll accept this," that throws me into a bad situation.
Right.
Makes me look bad because I've listed things, yet a manufacturer or
Right.
representative says that it's okay.
And I get that same situation when realtors don't want to follow the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So we have fun, don't we?
Always. Every day's a new day.
Well, guy, this is Greg Kreusel. He's a fantastic inspector. I rely on him to give me the point blank, honest truth. And if you're going out and buying a house, there's really only 3 questions a realtor should ever ask you. Is there anything about this inspection that makes you not want to buy the house? And if my client says yes, great, we'll terminate the contract, release the earnest money, and go find another house. Okay? I may ask why, what's the deal killer? The next question, they go, "No, I still want to buy the house, but there's some things." And I say, "Great, that's my second question. What are the deal killers? If they don't fix something or compensate you in some way that you're satisfied, what are those things?" And we go through that list. And then after that, it's like, what else? "Well, I want you to paint the house from pink to blue." Yeah, they're not going to do that. Okay? So use some common sense. Common sense is not common, but try to grab some. Thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate your time. Y'all can reach me and Greg. Give me a call, 210-232-2310. Thank you very much. Stop.